according to what many people interpret the different colors, royalty or kingship is represented by purple, royal blue, and gold. And so therefore, a rich man that has a purple robe could indicate the kingship, or it could indicate the leadership, or it could indicate some person with a lot of control and power and resources. Like Solomon, I'm sure, had a lot of gold, and he had a lot of gold, and he had a lot of purple robes.
Okay, but when you think of who Jesus was mainly targeting, he didn't really target the kings that much. He targeted the scribes, Pharisees a lot.
Well, the Pharisees tended to be the rich folks who were tended to judge or interpret the Bible in the way that they thought was appropriate. They were like the attorneys for the religion of the Jewish language, and the Jewish, I should say the religion of the Jewish language, but the Jewish laws. It was more like not like a democracy. It was a theocracy, where the Pharisees were the judges. They determined what the Bible meant by the particular words. And so they don't necessarily, I guess they may have, but they weren't necessarily the ones that wore the purple robes. The purple robes, the gold, and the royal blue were represented by the kingship, which is like, for instance, the Caesar.
I would contend with that, because I don't see Jesus picking on the kings at that time. He was really picking on the religious leaders more than anyone. So I see purple and fine linen as targeting the priesthood, directly targeting them. And Lazarus could represent a Gentile who eventually would inherit the kingdom of God, right? And the ones that, the children of the kingdom, so to speak, would lose their inheritance.
Well, the purple robe, to me, signifies the pride, the prideful. Because the kings and those with a lot of power tend to express a lot of pridefulness. And Lazarus, on the other hand, was a very humble person. His poor nature, his willingness to beg. You don't see many rich people who are willing to beg. They're not humble enough to go around begging. And so those powerful people represents pride. Pride will suffer a price. That's what the Bible is expressing throughout the book. Pride has to diminish, has to eliminate if you want to get to the kingdom of heaven.
Pride goes before a fall. Yeah.
Yes. For you will not leave my soul in Hades. Nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. And you have made known to me the ways of life. You will make me full of joy in your presence. Those verses are in the Old Testament.
Right.
In verse 29, he continues, men and brethren, let me speak freely to you of the patriarchs of David, that he is both dead and buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that God has sworn with an oath to him that of the fruit of his body, according to the flesh, he would raise up the Christ to sit on his throne. He, foreseeing this, spoke concerning the resurrection of the Christ, that his soul was not left in Hades, nor did his flesh see corruption. Okay. This Jesus God had raised up, which we are all witnesses.
Okay, so there we're using Hades. The Bible's using Hades as the grave, right? It's simply the grave, because we're talking about Christ. We're talking about Christ being resurrected from the grave. He wasn't resurrected from eternal torment. He was resurrected from death.
Exactly.
Okay, and this is a really good example of how Hades can really only mean the grave, because Christ has no business being in eternal torment for a minute, right?
That's true.
He just doesn't belong there. And if he was there, and if he was taken from there, then it wasn't eternal to begin with.
Right.
So it makes absolutely no sense to think of it as eternal torment in this case.
That's true. Right? In this case, you're right.
Right, it's a perfect example of it.
Perfect example. O death, where is your sting? O Hades, where is your victory?
In the King James, this is the one instance, the one time that Hades is translated grave.
Oh, I see. So
this is the one time it's translated grave in the King James. This is the New King James, which they go ahead and translate it as Hades, correct?
Okay, yeah, I understand.
Okay, so to me, this is the one instance where it was correctly translated in the King James, where they said grave.
I will ransom from them the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be your plagues. O grave, I will be your destruction. Pity is hidden from my eyes.
Okay, there you go. So Sheol was the word used there, which translated grave, right? You see grave
Yes.
here? This is the New King James translating it grave.
This says grave.
Okay, so grave, and then when it got to the New Testament, they went Hades for Sheol.
So it's
which
just
is
being
grave.
under the ground.
Grave.